When I think about how ultrasound imaging touches a woman's heart when she sees her baby for the first time, it brings tears to my eyes. And every woman deserves to see scientifically accurate medical information as to what's going on in her body. And when a woman facing an unexpected pregnancy sees that baby for the first time on the ultrasound screen, it's incredible.
When I first found out I was pregnant, I was shocked. I was on contraceptives, so it was a surprise. I was scared and unsure of what to do, what to expect. The first time I came to Stanton Health, I felt very welcomed. I felt very happy, very safe. Just a great feeling when I walked in. They were very nice, very supportive, and still are.
To see a woman who walks through our doors, she's feeling vulnerable, she's feeling alone, and she's feeling afraid. And she comes in and says, I saw the sign in your window facing the parking lot, and I was parked in my car, and I was planning to go to Planned Parenthood for my scheduled abortion, and I saw your sign that said, walk-ins welcome, unexpected pregnancy support.
I was 19 and I found out I was pregnant. I was engaged, and recently he decided to leave me. I talked to my mom about I was pregnant, and she told me that she had a friend named Brandy that had Stanton, and so she told me about it, and I looked it up, and I got nervous and called them, and they told me just to come in, and so I decided to come in, and I found out I was 5 weeks pregnant.
I founded Stanton Healthcare in 2006, and I founded it with the mission and the heart to really help women that are facing unexpected pregnancies and provide them with life-affirming alternatives, that they would have another choice besides just abortion. So really, our mission is to make sure that every woman around the state of Idaho and even beyond has access to quality care and compassionate alternatives to abortion. You can see these women who come in scared, vulnerable, feeling alone, and they're referring to that baby as an it when they come in. I don't know what I'm going to do with it. I think I may need to terminate it. I may need to abort it. And then during that ultrasound exam, the language starts to change. Is that it? Is that its heartbeat? Is that my baby? Is that my baby's heartbeat? How old is my baby in my womb? And then you start to see a tear or tears come down their cheek, and then you see that smile. And that's the game changer. That's the moment when a woman realizes that's my baby and I can never hurt my unborn baby. That's the power of ultrasound imaging.
Well, hello, this is Janet Marana, Executive Director of Priest for Life. Welcome to Just Ask Janet. And what you saw just now, of course, is a little video about Stanton Healthcare. And of course, joining me right now on my program is the president and founder, Brandy Swindell of Stanton Healthcare. Brandy, welcome to the program.
Hi, Janet. Thank you for having me.
Well, and of course, you and I and Priest for Life, we go back a long way.
Yeah.
All the way back, as Brian Kemper, our youth outreach, likes to remind you, you were a missionary, a youth missionary way back in the day, right?
Yep, I was. I used to work with Brian when he first started out, and I was first starting out, and I was in my early 20s, so it was many years ago. But yeah, it's been almost, for me, over 20 years full-time in the pro-life movement. And I remember very distinctly the first time meeting you and Father Frank, and just the encouragement that you gave me, and immediately said, hey, you are in an important work, and don't you stop, and God's going to use you. And we believe you are a leader, you know, and you can do this. And I just remember that speaking a lot of confidence into heart and mind that I could start something like a Stanton someday.
Well, and of course, I'd like to just share with our people here now a story about what convicted you all the way back when you were at Yellowstone Park. Tell them that story.
Sure, sure. So, in the summer of 1997, I got a job out in Yellowstone National Park. I'm from Idaho, so I'm an outdoorsy girl. I love to hike and camp and snowboard and fish, and I grew up fishing with my family, and specifically my grandparents would take me every summer to Henry's Lake so my grandpa could go fishing, and then we'd go into Yellowstone National Park because it was right there by the west entrance to Yellowstone National Park. So anyway, I had grown up always wanting to work in Yellowstone, and so a couple years after graduating from high school, I got a job for the summer in Yellowstone National Park, and great experience. And about the middle of the summer, I learned very quickly, actually before that, I was kind of one of the only Christians there in the park, and there was a lot of people from all over the US and the world that were tourists there in the park, but also working there in the park. And so I met lots of different people, had lots of vibrant conversations, but in particular, I had a friend that I made there. She worked in Yellowstone as well. We worked at a little lodge. We were servers there, and we were roommates, and I just thought the world of her and her of me, and we'd always have lots of wonderful conversations and go hiking together and all of that. And she was really outgoing and really vibrant, and just a beautiful girl inside and out, and happy. Just one of those people that her face was always radiant and happy. And so one particular day, I noticed she had lost that radiance. She didn't have that beautiful smile and laugh and carefree attitude. And so I kind of knew something was going on, but I wasn't sure what. And so I kind of tried to ask her about it, and she didn't really respond, wouldn't respond, was kind of closed down. And anyway, one day I noticed on our shared nightstand in our little cabin that we stayed in, our little employee cabin that we shared, there was a phone book, which was strange to have a phone book in our cabin because we didn't even have a phone in the cabin. You had to use the payphone up at the lodge. And this was before a lot of people had cell phones. And so anyway, I noticed this phone book, and I kind of picked it up, and it was earmarked on a page. And so I went to that earmarked page, and it was to a list of abortion providers in Bozeman, Montana. And so I started to connect the dots. Oh my goodness, she's pregnant. And I knew she was dating a guy there in the park that worked in the kitchen, one of the cooks there at the lodge. And so I just started putting all the pieces together. And so she wouldn't open up to me. And so finally, after a day or two of praying and reflecting, because I was raised a pro-life Christian and my heart was grieved, I was not yet fully a pro-life activist, so I didn't understand all the ins and outs of the situation, but still my heart was grieved, and I knew it was not a good situation. So I talked to her about it. I privately pulled her aside, and I said, something's going on. What's going on? And again, she wouldn't tell me. And I said, I just blurted it out. I said, are you pregnant? And she just burst into tears. And we had a series of conversations from that point. And I remember one of our conversations as I was communicating to her, this isn't going to be a good decision for your life, and God has a better plan for your life. And she said to me, she was not a practicing person of faith necessarily, but she was open to the idea of God. And I said to her, and she said to me after I'd said, this is not going to be good. She looked at me with a tear rolling down her cheek, and she said, I know it's wrong, but I have to do it. I know it's wrong, but I have to do it. So long and short of it, I kept praying for her. I wrote her a letter saying that my family would adopt the baby. I said, my uncle's an attorney. You can come back to Idaho with me, and he can help you, with an adoption plan. I'll take the baby. My family, I'll take the baby. Just all those things that you kind of beg and plead. And again, this is before I understood the client advocacy within abortion vulnerable women. But still, I was just an average person trying to fight for the life of that child. The day came when she had the scheduled abortion. I was praying. And I remember very clearly, I had an early shift that morning at the lodge. So I was up and out of there at 6 a.m. Her appointment at the abortion clinic was supposed to be at around 11 a.m. And I remember very distinctly, Janet, walking back from the lodge at about 3 in the afternoon after I had been begging her not to do it, walking up to our cabin. I remember it clear as day, and just hoping that she didn't have the abortion, hoping that. And I walked up our little steps, put my hand on the door, turned our little doorknob and opened it. And I remember it to this day very distinctly. I could feel it in the air, and I could see it in her limp body as she laid in the fetal position on her little bed, that she had had the abortion. And that's when the moment hit me. It still gives me chills to this day. I was heartbroken because I had been fighting for that little life, and I felt like that baby just went through my fingers. And I also realized for the first time what it does to the woman. You could just see her body, and it was a spiritual thing, and it was a physical thing, and it was a real thing. And the rest of her time in that park, Janet, she was never the same. Remember how I described her? Outgoing, fun. We'd go on hikes. She was the life of the party. Everybody loved her. Her eyes were different. Her eyes were glossed over. And that's when I realized not only does abortion destroy the most vulnerable, innocent child in the womb, it also destroys the spirit of the woman. And then that's when I said that prayer, God, why did I experience this? And I wasn't angry at him, but why did I experience it? And he said, this baby is one of many. And now you grieve how I grieve. And then that's when I said, Lord, open my eyes and use me. And 20 years in the pro-life movement, God always looks for that moment where he captivates our heart, and we grieve and we are broken over abortion. And then we say, Lord, here I am, use me.
Right.
So that's what started it all, Janet.
I know. And, I hope some of our people here watching and listening will say to themselves, you know what, maybe I should be grieving more about abortion, and I can get involved a little bit more because, there's a lot more Brandy Swindells out there, I'm sure.
Right.
That's
right. I'm just a normal person that had an experience where it touched my heart so intimately. I myself have never had an abortion. I myself have never had an unexpected pregnancy, but I saw up close and personal the reality of it. And it's a devastating thing. And also, Janet, being in Yellowstone, it's a national park, and it's federally protected by the government. You cannot mess with a buffalo. You cannot mess with the nests of birds. It's catch and release fishing. You cannot mess with the trails. You cannot, pick a blade of grass in Yellowstone without it being a violation of park regulations. So how could we, my mind's thinking that there is more federal protection for a buffalo and a blade of grass than there is
unborn babies, right?
Yep. And that's the inconsistency.
So now, Brandy, we just saw a little clip I showed before you came on about Stanton Healthcare and the great work you do. And it's like a lot of the pregnancy centers, as we know, all over the country, but yours are different in a very special way because you position yourself either right next door or across the street from Planned Parenthood. So tell us about that strategy.
That's exactly right. Our strategy is when we opened in 2006, when I founded Stanton Healthcare, we started off as licensed medical clinics. So we are an actual medical clinic. And so that was the strategy. And in addition to that strategy, a key part of it is that we set up as close as we possibly can to abortion clinics, specifically Planned Parenthoods. So that's exactly right. Our first building that we purchased and paid off in 1 year is about 5 feet away from Planned Parenthood's property line in Boise. So we are right next door, and we've saved hundreds and hundreds of lives in that location and continue to do so. And then a couple of years ago, we purchased property directly across the parking lot from the largest Planned Parenthood in Idaho, where 75% of abortions take place. And you and Father Frank have been there, as a matter of fact. We brought you invited you out to be speakers at our pro-life rally, which was amazing. You guys drew a lot of people and helped create a lot of support and energy for what we were doing. And then we also have a mobile clinic that we can take and park as close to abortion clinics around the state of Idaho. So that is the strategy, is to be strategically located, so that women know that they have more options. There's another option than Planned Parenthood, and we get walk-ins every day. And of course it drives Planned Parenthood crazy. They've sued us before. Thankfully, they lost in court. The judge dismissed it, but they just can't stand that there's actually another option that's life-affirming. And of course, that proves, as we well know, Janet, and your viewers, that it's really not about freedom of choice for them. It's about one choice, and that's pushing abortion and selling abortion to women.
Exactly. Right, because if
Yeah.
they want to empower women to make an informed decision, then they shouldn't have a problem of you being next door across the street because, okay, you don't think you want an abortion? Well, go see them across the street. They'll help you, but they won't do that. They'll go crazy before they do that. They only want to sell an abortion.
Exactly.
Right? So now,
and so
I
much
know
so that, oh, go ahead.
No, I know you have a vision too of expanding Stanton outside of Idaho. So now you have 1 to 2 other locations so far, right?
We do. Yep. So we have our 3 clinics in Idaho, the 2 flagship centers, and then our mobile clinic. We opened our very first affiliate in Southern California, and that's been operating for several years, and they're doing a wonderful work in Southern California. Same model, same strategy. So we have Stanton, Southern California. We have a Stanton, Detroit, that's doing wonderful work. In fact, they just bought a building next to an abortion area, an abortion clinic right on 8 Mile. And so they're remodeling that building and getting it ready to go. And they do amazing work. And then we also have an international affiliate. We have Stanton Belfast that we opened in 2015. And they're doing an incredible work. Yep, incredible work. And then we're really excited. I'm announcing for the first time live on your show, Janet, we just signed paperwork to open a Stanton in Edinburgh, Scotland. And so we're super excited about that. And so, yes, isn't that cool?
Super.
Yep.
That's great.
Yep.
We have a question here from one of our viewers, and she says, do you have an address to send help to the Stanton Healthcare? Southern California address to send a donation? What is it?
Oh, that's awesome. So the easiest thing is to go to their website, stantonsocal.org. stantonsocal.org.
What? Spell that out. It's Stanton, SOCAL?
Yep. STANTON. STANTON, and then it's SoCal. SOCAL.org.
Oh, great. And they have a donation button right on their homepage, right?
Button. They'll have an address if you want to mail one in. Absolutely. Phone number to call, whatever's easiest.
Well, and I want our people to know that I am on the board of advisors for Stanton Healthcare, and I'm a monthly supporter. Right?
Yes, you are, and you're one of the very first people I asked to serve on our national advisory board because I wanted a strong, powerful, committed pro-life woman on our advisory board. So,
well, I'm still waiting for all my marching orders, Brandy. So now, if they want your address for the umbrella of Stanton Healthcare, is that just StantonHealthcare.org?
StantonInternational.org. StantonInternational.org. Yep. And we'd love for people to visit our website.
Tell them now how you came up with the name Stanton. I know the story, but I want you to tell them.
You do, yeah, of course. So Stanton comes from, as you know, Janet, and I'm sure a lot of your viewers, it comes from Elizabeth Cady Stanton, and so I know who Elizabeth Cady Stanton is, and some of your viewers. She was part of the suffragist movement here in the States, and she worked alongside Elizabeth. She worked alongside Susan B. Anthony and many of the other women who fought so diligently for women's equality and our right to vote. And one of the things that's really amazing about these women is that the majority of them, all of them, really were 100% pro-life. And this was before abortion was even legalized or decriminalized in the United States. And so when you look at women who fought so hard for equality and believed in women's empowerment, that word that the modern day pro-abortion feminists like to use, true empowerment in their mind was never about embracing abortion. And in fact, it was about embracing motherhood, which Elizabeth Cady Stanton did. She had children, and oftentimes there were times where she would write talks and give them to others, including Susan B. Anthony, to read because she was staying home tending to the children, which I just love that imagery of a fierce, strong woman who's fighting for women's equality and the right to vote, but still said, embracing motherhood and my children and my offspring is the primary part of being fully a woman. And so we just loved that concept. So Stanton is kind of our namesake, and that's where it comes from.
And so if someone right now is watching and they say, gee, I'd like to think about opening a pregnancy center. I mean, is that such a daunting task? I mean, what could they do? Give them a hint of if they want to have a Stanton in their neighborhood, near the Planned Parenthood near them. How could you help them?
Sure. So we have an affiliate program, like I mentioned earlier, and we have a process and steps that people can take to decide if they kind of have a stirring in their heart to start a Stanton in their community. We can kind of walk them through that process to see if it's really something that's a good fit for their community or a good fit for them. And then if it's decided that it is a good fit, then we have a whole affiliate process that's there to help them and serve them, and steps that tangible steps they can take to get there. But there's a couple different options. People can be a part of what we call the Stanton Revolution, the revolution in women's healthcare, in a lot of different ways. They could potentially start a Stanton healthcare clinic in their community. They could start a Stanton boutique center in their community, which is our version of a resource center that's not medical, and that's sometimes a little less daunting than the medical aspect. Or they can start a club, a Purple Sash Revolution Club, which we're going to talk about on one of your next shows in the next month or two. But we've started a project called Purple Sash Revolution, where it's just exciting. We wear purple sashes and create awareness about the pro-life cause, and so people can bring a Purple Sash club to their community as well. And so there's different options if people feel to get involved. And we're also starting a faith collective for people of faith that want to just commit to praying for the ministry of Stanton, and praying for these women, and praying for these babies in the womb, and praying for the next 4 years, Janet, that are going to be so intense. And that reminds me of a very specific prayer request for your viewers. And that is the recent nomination of Becerra to be the new secretary of HHS. And this is a person that has fought in California against life-affirming medical centers like Stanton. And him being in this position is pretty serious and significant for centers. It's terrible. And so we've already done some projects, and we've already sent out some news releases saying if Becerra, serving as the HHS secretary, tries to force centers to refer or recommend or market for abortions, Stanton will not comply. We will not comply with such a godless order. And so we need to just pray that the Senate does not confirm him. It would be a horrible thing for pregnancy centers.
Well, people can go to our Priest for Life website, Brandy. Right on the homepage, we have an action alert, and it shows them how to call their senators now and say, vote no on Becerra. Vote no on Becerra. That's all we're saying. Vote no on Becerra. And even if you think your representative is pro-life, is going to vote the right way, you still need to call them so that they feel encouraged, like, yeah, I'm doing the right thing. So it's vote no on Becerra. You got to call, call. Numero uno thing to do. That's right.
Yeah, it's serious.
So Brandy, like you mentioned, I'm going to have you back in a couple of weeks because we're going to talk about the Purple Sash Revolution. But I would like everyone now to take a pause and think, what could I be doing more to reaching out to women who are considering an abortion? Believe me, Brandy and I know this oh so well. Women have abortions not because of freedom of choice. They do it because they feel they have no freedom and no choices. Women that come into Brandy's clinic, as opposed to going into Planned Parenthood, they're desperate, confused. So, some of these young girls are afraid to tell their parents. Some young girls are afraid they're going to get kicked out of the house. Some young girls are afraid they're going to lose their scholarship, kicked out of school. I mean, the list goes on and on. But as soon as they get that person at the Stanton Healthcare smiling at them saying, don't worry, any problem you have, we can help you face head on and solve it for you. Right, Brandy? It's like a relief comes over their face, right?
Oh, Janet, let me tell you, our own internal data, we just discovered this. We track everything. We have a great system to track all the information from the women walking through our doors. And we found, our internal data shows, that 90% of the women who walk through our doors abortion-minded women who walk through our doors or abortion vulnerable say 90% of them said on questionnaires that we asked them that they felt pressured to have an abortion by somebody they trust.
Right.
And that even blew me away. And I've been in the movement 20 years. 90% feeling pressured.
Right.
That's a boyfriend, that's a husband, that's a parent, that's a teacher, that's a grandparent, that's a doctor, that's a nurse. I mean, the list goes on and on, that somebody has said, you know, the best thing you can do is just take care of this little problem and it'll be over. And so, and you're right, women feel this. And not only, the other thing is the culture, the society has created an environment that abortion is okay, and in fact sometimes, or a lot of times, the right thing to do. So there's this internal wrestling that women go through that they never used to go through, where it's now like, oh, it's an unexpected pregnancy, oh well, you should probably just take care of it. And, you know, I mean, that's just the language that's become commonplace. So imagine the internal pressure. A woman's going, well, I don't really know how I'm going to afford it. I don't really know. My boyfriend's mad at me. I'm going to disappoint my parents. My school counselor I confided in said I should probably just go ahead and take care of it. And here's the number for Planned Parenthood. Imagine all those voices in your head, and you're kind of back and forth. Maybe I should, maybe I shouldn't. And do you know what else we found, Janet? This is what I found since 2006 running Stanton. There's very few abortion-minded women, meaning women who are specifically shopping for abortions. There are those women, but it's very few. The majority are what we call vulnerable, meaning one day they're going to, they think they're going to get one. The next day they say, no, I'm not going to get one. Then they say they're going to get it. They're back, they're internally struggling.
Right. And of course, it's become a political football here, where they make it, they sound like, oh, abortion is health care. They don't want to say the word abortion. It's women's health care. And we know it's anything but health care. So I just want to remind our viewers, because it's time to say goodbye, but go to Stanton International. Go to Stanton International. What is it? The website? Stanton?
Oh, StantonInternational.org. I'm sorry, StantonInternational.org.
Okay, StantonInternational.org. Be in touch with Brandy. You know, maybe God is calling you to get involved. And if you can't open a pregnancy center like Stanton in your neighborhood, maybe you can help support Brandy and the others who are doing this fine work. Like I said, I'm a proud member of the Board of Advisors and a monthly supporter. So, Brandy, thank you for joining us on the program today. All the blessings. And I can't wait till I get out to Idaho again to see you, okay?
Yes, I want you to come back out to Idaho. Thanks, Janet.
I'm coming to the next in-person banquet. I'm going to be your speaker, okay?
Yes. Perfect.
All right.
I can't wait.
Okay. God bless. Well, brothers and sisters, thank you for joining us today. And I just thought to get a look inside such a great operation here, Stanton Healthcare, going toe-to-toe with Planned Parenthood. We need more of them all over the country, because there are so many women out there who are just desperate for this help. We know it, I know it, and you know it too. So let's get involved. Thank you for joining me again on Just Ask Janet. Until next time, God bless.